Now I want to talk just a little bit about partnerships. So I believe that partnership is at the heartbeat of our work, especially when we're working in communities. There's so much to be done, and it's impossible to do it alone, right? And so I want to talk about building partnerships that work. And partnerships that work, as we've learned, are built on one word: trust. This is a quote by Warren Buffett, and it says, "Partnership is not a legal contract between two individuals. It's an emotional alliance between two people who are committed to each other's success." So if I had to ask you to pick one word from that quote that stands out to you, what would that be for you? No right answer.
Commitment.
Commitment. Anyone else? Success.
An alliance.
Alliance. Anything else? Yeah, for me, the word emotional stood out. And I think that's important because sometimes we forget that partnerships between organizations are really not partnerships between organizations. They're partnerships between people. And if you think about any relationship that you have, a key component of that relationship is trust. And that's true not just with relationships between individuals, but relationships between organizations as well. So we've developed a model, and it's our proprietary model. We call it trust-centered strategic engagement. And what that means to us is that, as you see, at the middle of this model is trust. And there's a lot of work that goes around the model, including building systems, including connecting people, creating opportunities to gather data, tell the story, and then report that back to the community. But none of that happens without that puzzle piece that's at the center, which is trust. And there are some guiding principles there, and I won't talk about all of them, but I do want to mention one, which is match actions with words. Because we're very good at talking about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, right? But what I've learned over the years is that the partnerships that work are the ones where people may not overpromise. They may say, this is what we're going to do, and it may sound small. But if they do that, then that is like money in the bank. And they can take that and spend it, right? It's just like capital. So these are what I call the 5 Ps of building strong partnerships. Okay, and I'm a preacher as well, so alliteration is what we do.
Yeah.
But the first is perspective, right? And what that speaks to is that you have to look around you at the community that you're working in or that you aspire to work in, not just for the needs, because all of us are really good at seeing what's wrong. But a perspective that helps with building partnership is looking for the assets. And the assets are things in the community that actually help people to become more resilient, right? And those can be organizations. Those can even be cultural aspects. It's like if you're working in a community that has a very strong family component, then that becomes an asset that you can use to build your partnership. So having the right perspective focused on assets and not just needs is super important. The second P is priorities. So bringing the people together that you are partnering with to say, where do we want to focus our efforts? Because a lot of times the problem is that our efforts are too broad. There's so much to be done and we want to do it all. But what I found is that if you can identify no more than 5 priorities for that community, then those can be the rallying points for your partnership. The next P is planning. And so what I found is particularly in our work here in Arlington, so we ran a 5-year strategic collective impact initiative called Arlington 2020. And it started with a plan. We identified the 5 priorities and we developed bullet points for each priority that laid out, these are the things we want to accomplish in the next 5 years. And because we had a plan, meaning it was on paper, right? Not just in our heads. That helped us to rally over 40 partners around that plan and move it forward. Personnel, right? And those personnel don't have to be hired, but for each priority, there needs to be a champion, a person who says, I will take this on, and I will be the one who will take responsibility and will be accountable to the group for what we do. And then finally, processes. So especially when working with volunteers, you don't want to overload people with processes that are overwhelming, but there needs to be a process in terms of how are we going to meet, when are we going to meet, how are we going to communicate to the community and to one another what we're doing, right? And that can be very simple, but there needs to be something in place that kind of helps keep people on track and lets them know what to expect. So if you want to learn more, if partnership is a key component of what you do, and I believe that it's really essential to every organization that's working in the community, then I invite you to go to this QR code, book a consultation with us. We'd love to help you strategize on how to build a partnership or how to strengthen one that you already have and make it even more effective. Okay. Thank you for your time.